Action Park
Media.
All right, let's get a mic check here. 1, 2, 1, 2, episode 5. No gruffs given. We got a lot to talk about. We are approaching the most exciting part of the year, which is NHL playoffs. The world is still in disarray. There's a lot going on. I want to get into some housekeeping issues first of all. Michael, you rode the Peloton today.
I did.
Okay, so for everybody that's listening, Michael and myself, well, Michael is a wise man, and he was making moves during the pandemic, while the pandemic was happening, and he booked a cameo, and he said, Sean, listen, I'm making a move. I'm going to LA at some point. Maybe we'll work together. So we're here today, and this weekend we were doing one of our live streams on Patreon, and Michael came in on Saturday, and he looked a little disheveled. So I kind of let it sit for a second, and he picked up some food for us, Ohana Barbecue, which is just a miraculous place. And I said, "You look like did you go out last night?" He said, "Yeah, I went out with my boss. We went to Koreatown. We got some sushi." Long story short, is I said, "Michael, do you remember when we first met?" And we went back into the time machine, and I said to you, everything's going to work out. We're going to be in LA, both here. We're going to be working. But you're going to not be happy with your physical condition. Would you be upset with yourself? And what did you say?
Yes.
You said yes. Michael said yes. So this morning, I said, listen, you have a Peloton. He told me he has a Peloton. He's not using it. The Peloton's at home. Anyways, I get a text message this morning with his Peloton update. Strava, he downloaded the app, and he had a bike ride today, and it was 30 minutes long, right? Mm-hmm. Did you sweat?
I did.
Was the sweat coming through your shirt, or was it just on your forehead?
No, it was light. It
was light.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So today was a start.
Yep.
Do you know what your Strava name is?
Do you want me to send you my profile?
Yeah, send it to me, and then I'll because people can follow. That's what happens. We build a community.
Well, I took a picture of my weigh-in this morning.
Okay.
So we can have
an accurate. I don't want to know the number.
Okay.
Let's just see if it's decreasing.
Yes.
Over time.
And I appreciate the encouragement.
Good. Well, it's fodder. It becomes fodder.
I said, let's make this a bit,
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get skinny.
Well, you have to get in shape, all right? There's just no way to get around it. Housekeeping issues. Okay, so we're arriving into the playoffs, right? We have Patreon, which for all of you listening, essentially, and I want to explain it because I think people have to try and wrap their head around it, all right? So think of this. I normally do my Instagram videos, correct? I usually pick a game. Generally, it's Tampa Bay, and I'll take you through the life of a game. I'll show you some highlights. I won't show you all of them because that would be crazy, but I pick my spots, right? So we've been doing that for a couple of years. Well, now we've created this Patreon ecosystem, and essentially what it is if there's a game on, and when we start the playoffs, we're going to be doing a lot of games. So you're watching the game on TV. Let's say you're on the ESPN app, or you've got the NHL network, or whatever it is. You're watching the game, and you don't want to listen to the announcers. I'm not gonna bash the announcers, although I heard Ryan Callahan was calling the Tampa game yesterday on ESPN, and Ryan Callahan, this is what people do. They try and overcompensate. If you're a color guy, that means you sit beside the play-by-play announcer and you interject at times, a la Tony Romo. All right, let's use him as a great example. Or Troy Aikman. All right, you either have it or you don't. You can't, if you start the first day you ever do it, you what's in your DNA as far as your timing and understanding, that's generally where you're ever going to end up. Some people can get better at it, but it's tough out there, okay? We're living in a woke world. Now, I'll give you the option. You can say, you know what? I'm going to watch this game. Sean and Michael are live streaming on Patreon. I can essentially put my computer or have my phone. You can do it on your cell phone. I can have my cell phone or my computer linked up to Sean, basically doing his play-by-play in a long format version to the game that you're watching on television. So you'll still watch your game on your TV, but you're also going to be able to hear me doing my thing here and see me because there's a camera on me and I'm in the guest house and I have a stick and a tennis ball and, there's movement. So in my opinion, it's the best of both worlds, especially considering it is how much a month? What are we?
$6.
$6 a month, okay? It's going to go up for the playoffs, so I had advised that you get in now while and we'll tier it, so maybe we'll figure that out. But we're going on a ride. We're going on a journey for the next 2 months. It's playoffs. We're getting locked in. You're going to get the long format, all right? If I'm a kid out there and I'm saying to myself, thinking when I was a kid, 12 years old, imagine if I could watch an NHL game and have a player that I like, a former player, commentating on the game in this own sort of third-party app ecosystem. I would have fucking died and went to heaven. It would have been on my Christmas list. And I'm not saying me, it's just me because I'm so happen to be the one that sort of invented it and the only one that's doing it. And I say we, Michael, myself. So that's on the table. I want you to think about it. I'd like you to go and subscribe, okay? I think it's going to be an important journey. You're going to learn a lot, and we're going to have a lot of fun. That's the first thing. Second thing, Mother's Day is upon us, a few weeks away. Mm-hmm. Mother's Day cameos, right? So it's a great time of the year, okay? Our mothers are the most important things that we have. None of us are here or exist if our mothers didn't birth us, all right? Regardless of whether you think a woman is a woman or what a woman is, but a woman is a woman who has babies. Babies pass through a woman and they become us, all right? So we say thank you. So, you have moms out there, hockey moms. Doesn't matter if your mom's a Ranger fan. If your mom is an awesome mom and you want to tell your mom how awesome she is, I say book a cameo. And it's a little fun little Mother's Day stocking stuffer, all right? President Joe Biden. Boy, oh boy. Episode 5, no gruffs given. Tampa Bay Lightning were at the White House today. Today is Monday. And they were receiving their congratulatory whatever it is from the president, okay? So Mr. Biden gets up there. President Biden gets up there.
Anyway, I want to thank Commissioner Gary Batman and for being here as well.
He called him Batman. I saw it. Spittin' Chicklets posted it. Somebody texted it to me. What happened afterwards was quite interesting. Victor Hedman had to control his laughter. It was a belly type laughter. It was coming from his knees and his ankles. And he turned to his left as his laughter was erupting. All right. Normally I would say, listen, it's the president, right? No matter what happens in that situation, you stand firm, stoic, but that's not what happened, okay? I don't know if it's because Victor Hedman's Swedish or because Victor Hedman lives in Florida, all right? And he loves Governor DeSantis. I don't know, Vic, all right? But he clearly laughed and it was a thing and it's now trending on social media. That was just today. That was Monday. I think that, I don't know if President Biden had a full schedule, but that was at the start, top of the day. And that gives us a real momentum going into the week. We're going to get to the Tampa Bay momentum because it's outrageous. It's off the charts. Before we get there, a little bit more on Biden. I saw last week that he said that he got up and he said that he was a full professor at the University of Pennsylvania. All right. I've now come to know that was a complete lie. All right. I don't know if President Biden was lying purposely. I don't know if President Biden is confused at what a full professor means. I looked it up. It's much different than what he was. All right. If you're an honorary professor, or you teach a class every once in a while, you're not a full professor. All right. It's just, it's so clear what a full professor is. I don't know if he lies. All right. I don't know if he lies, but it's happening too much for it to be either a lie or he's tired. He's tired. Joe's tired. Or he's the leader of the free world. Tennessee. The state of Tennessee. You ever been to Tennessee, Michael?
I have. It's a great place.
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not much to say about it.
No, I mean, Nashville's kind of turned into the same sort of city like Austin, where it's like, bachelorette parties and whatever
Nashville.
else. So it sort of doesn't have the same lure that it had back,
Yeah, when it was still underground and there was a movement. Yeah, guys love Nashville. I've never enjoyed Nashville. I never enjoyed going to play there. I never enjoyed going out in Nashville. I would get to Nashville and I would get my hotel room key, and you wouldn't see me until the next morning skate, ordering room service, movies. I'm not venturing out into bars that it's like Groundhog Day. You walk in, they're all the same, and the music's the same. I'm not into it, all right? Anyways, Tennessee just passed a bill. If you kill somebody because you're drunk and they have children, you have to pay child support. I think that's a fucking... It's like, is that a democratic, is that a conservative point of view? I think it's just logic. I think that should be one of the responsibilities. If you get behind the wheel of a car drunk and you kill somebody, you have to pay. Not just with prison time, but I mean, prison time is sort of an afterthought. It's like, what the fuck how's that going to help our family? This guy's in prison. I want money. I want hard money. I want this guy's money to pay for the kids who don't have a parent now. It's one of my biggest fears, and I don't know how my parents instilled it in me, but I was always terrified to do it because I never wanted a DUI, and I never wanted a DUI because a lot comes with that, specifically lawyers. Now, I'd like to call to action, okay? I have to make a decision, okay? We know the story about the arena and the company owned by Phil Anschutz that I need to make a decision. What am I going to do? All right. Because it's been 2 or 3 weeks. I believe I'm still banned. Right. I received a letter. There was no warnings. There was no information in the letter. I've done some preliminary research. I don't think that they're legally allowed to ban me. But what I am saying is if there's a freedom fighter out there, a lawyer who understands this type of civil matter, I would like you to reach out to me, and maybe there's some sort of, maybe we can come to an agreement financially on how we're going to proceed with this. But you have to be a freedom fighter. You have to want to say, you know what, I'm sick of this. How do I contribute a little bit? We're all going to contribute at the polls, at the midterms, but how do we fight the woke, right? Because, we don't have Elon's money where we can just wake up one day and go, fuck, I'm going to buy Twitter. He bought Twitter. I believe it's been announced. Yeah. Elon Musk now owns Twitter. Okay. The guy is a fucking superhero. All right. He owns SpaceX, Tesla, and now Twitter. Has there ever been one human being on the fucking history of the planet who has been more influential to a certain set of time, to a certain block of time? This guy owns 3 of the most influential companies ever to exist on planet Earth. And he's just dropping bombs, all right? He tweeted something the other night. So if you haven't seen it, Apple came out with a new emoji of a man who's pregnant, right? Funny, okay? I like it. Maybe I'll use it at some point. If you sent it to me, I wouldn't be offended. The problem is I don't know the science behind it. Because I'm not a scientist, but I call back to what we were talking about before, Mother's Day. I don't think that men can have babies.
No.
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure.
Okay. Michael's sure. So Elon dropped that, and it was beside a picture of Bill Gates. Savagery, right? For a guy that owns public companies. He doesn't care, all right? He doesn't like the way you're operating. He'll buy what you're operating. Okay, that's the world we're living in right now. And it's swashbuckler shit. It's incredible. So, freedom fighter, like Elon, if you're a lawyer that wants to potentially help me fight my cause, which is to be reinstated so I can play men's league. I just want to put the gear on and go out and skate, all right? But more importantly, Nash is going to be great at whatever he does. all right, because we're going to empower him and give him opportunities. I've had an opportunity taken away from Nash. Nash is now banned from all of these arenas that Phil Anschutz and the LA Kings own and operate in some sort of fashion. I can't remember the name of the company, but I remember the guy's name, Mr. Coppola. What is the gentleman's name? The CEO of the company, Shane Coppola. All right, so Mr. Coppola is the guy that's the buck stops with him. I'll say it again. I'm looking for a freedom fighter that could potentially help me in this fight for freedom. Episode 5, no gruffs given. Popcorn Planet is a YouTube channel. All right. I don't know if this guy created this YouTube channel to fight for Johnny Depp, but if you haven't been watching this Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, first of all, it's like crack cocaine, okay? It's so sad. You know, listen, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to get into the weeds on it, okay? But these are two people that should not have ever been together. And I think one person took advantage of the other person, all right? It's an ugly situation, okay? But this guy, Popcorn Planet, he's got a YouTube channel, and essentially this guy is breaking down frame by frame the trial. And there's wild shit going on, all right? Amber Heard's got her girlfriend, who's a reporter, posing as an attorney, sitting in the front row, live tweeting during the trial. And it took Depp's attorneys like 2 days to figure out it was happening, all right? She got kicked out. Crazy stories, all right? Crazy fucking stories. These two, I don't know how they had time to do anything, okay? Other than, like, fight, because that seems like all they did. I'm not recommending that you get involved in it, but I just wanted to put it out there in the ether because it's not good. Why they even put the cameras? It's all about ratings, all right? It's all about ratings. Speaking of ratings, what lasted longer than CNN Plus? Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Well, it didn't last very long. As a matter of fact, Kim Kardashian's marriage to Chris Humphries lasted longer. All right. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks to slow the spread lasted longer than CNN Plus. All right. And finally, Kamala Harris's 2020 presidential campaign did last as long or longer than CNN Plus. I have an audition in my back pocket that I got this morning that I think it's actually quite interesting, all right? I had to sign an NDA. I don't know what that means, if I had to sign the NDA because of the sides or what, but I'll say this. They're making a mini-series about Borja Salming. Do you know who Borja Salming is?
No.
And I'm probably saying his name wrong as if I wasn't Swedish, but it's Borja Salming. He was a legendary Toronto Maple Leaf defenseman. And the reason that it's so interesting to me is the cast and characters in this story are all the guys that I grew up. Maple Leafs, Daryl Sittlers, okay? John Brophy, who was this legendary Toronto Maple Leaf coach. He had white hair. It's kind of exciting. I mean, I generally wouldn't want to play a hockey player. I'm auditioning for a hockey player role. It's not something that I would love to do, but I would also love to do it, if that makes any sense. I just think it's so wild that they're making a story about Borja Salming. You don't know who he is?
No.
He's a legendary defenseman. He was a good-looking guy. He was a Swedish guy. Had a huge scar on his face. He got cut with a skate. Few hundred stitches in his face, like a real warrior defenseman. He was Nick Lidstrom's favorite defenseman growing up.
Wow.
Joe Rogan. You know, we'll stick on this theme of subscribers. So Joe Rogan said that over the course of the pandemic, or I believe maybe even the last few months during all the turmoil, the Neil Young, Spotify turmoil, he gained 2 million subscribers. Now, I want to break this down a little bit, okay? Because CNN Plus didn't last that long, right? All of this, and to that point, Netflix came out with their earnings call, and they didn't meet projections. They lost subscribers for the first time in 12 years, all right? There was one other, Disney. Disney's under attack in Florida, and people are, we're going to know the effect of the Disney debacle in the next coming weeks when they have to report earnings, or maybe it's in a quarter, so they might have a few months. There happens to be nothing that I'm too attached to right now on Disney that would stop me from canceling my subscription. This new Marvel show that they came, Moon Knight with Oscar Isaac, it's not very good. And I love Oscar Isaac, but I don't know, it's very slow moving. It's not that interesting. All right. Problem is with Netflix, and I'll be frank, and I shouldn't probably, there hasn't been a ton of shows on Netflix that I've loved over the last 6 months. Now, The Crown's coming back. That's exciting. But here's why I'll never cancel my Netflix subscription. There's a show on it called Trash Truck, okay? This guy, Max Keane, did I speak about this before? There's a show on Netflix called Trash Truck that has taken Nash by storm, all right? We could literally be in a storm, and I put on Trash Truck, and the whole world shuts off to Nash. He loves this show more than anything that I've ever seen anyone love. He waves at trash cans. His whole life is the development that I'm seeing happening from Nash watching Trash Truck is incredible. I recommend it to everyone out there who has children. I watched the show. I'm a fan. Walter and Donnie are his two best friends, which I think are pretty funny because aren't those the dude's best friends in The Big Lebowski?
Yeah.
So they named Walter and Donnie. Walter's a bear and Donnie is like a rat. They named them Walter and Donnie. I mean, it's and you always hear about that, like Disney throwing those subliminal things in back in the day. Mm-hmm. But this Max King character, the guy's talented. Trash Truck is the show. I won't be canceling my Netflix subscription anytime soon.
Show has a great rating on IMDb too, 8.6 out of 10.
Yeah. People, well, that means other people are watching it.
Yeah.
2 seasons to date. It's a great show. New York is still off the rails, all right? We talked about it last week. The West Village in New York, which is where I lived the last 2 years before we moved to L.A. Our apartment got flooded. We had a rental in the West Village. I lived there, all right? It's the most expensive place, I think, to live in New York City, outside of probably Madison Avenue or a couple of streets on the Upper East Side. Crime, 84% up in the West Village. All right, that's 84%. So that means if there was 2 murders last year, there's now 3.5 essentially. All right. When is this stuff going to stop? Well, I ask myself that a lot. I think we're seeing a major shift happening. And I think even the wokest realize, from Netflix to CNN Plus, which doesn't exist anymore, to everything else, I think they're realizing that the people are speaking up. Elon has just bought Twitter. What is going to happen? He wants to get rid of all the bots. He wants to make sure people are people and they have consequences so you can identify them, all right? So you can't become some famous Twitter person without being a real person, okay? You have to be real, all right? Maybe you'll have a nickname or whatever, but we're going to need to know where to find you in case you're being inflammatory or you're doing things that aren't allowed, all right? He's setting the rule book. He's essentially eliminating one of the most effective tools to divide the greatest country in the world, the United States of America, up overnight. I mean, that's what this guy's doing, all right? The wokeness is losing. The strength of people that have intuition and guts and understand, that's what's winning. And I think it's a real powerful movement that's all coming out of, obviously, the beginning of this pandemic. And the numbers that are coming out of this Pfizer thing are crazy. I don't even want to, I'm not going to get into it, but do some research. I want to leave you with this. Be excited about the direction that we're going. I think good things are happening. And I think good is going to win versus evil, right? I think that the truth is going to rise to the surface, and we're going to see a landscape that we can all sort of manage each other in and respect each other. And that's part of my new mantra. You know, I said last week, I said, fuck it, I'm done. I'm just trying to win, obviously, because you know, if you're not trying to win, then I don't know what you're trying to do. You're trying to lose. But you got to be happy with what you're doing. So if I want to win, I don't want to be miserable while I'm trying to win. I want to be uncomfortable and ornery so that I always have this drive to move forward and to stomp the competition, but I don't want to be miserable doing it. And that's a happy balance that you have to understand. What else did I have here before? This is a good segue, and then we're going to go into some hockey stuff. So I hear a clip about Trudeau talking about vaccinating kids. Now this is the next thing, all right? They want to vaccinate the 5-year-olds. You know, Trudeau wants to do that, right? Trudeau wants to also start censoring the internet in Canada. That's a bill that they're trying to pass that's real, okay? The guy's a crazy person. The NHL playoffs are about to start. I'm still frustrated that we went through the whole 2 years of COVID and not a single current NHL player stood up and said, I don't like what's going on, all right? That's fine. I can put that to bed. It's came and it's gone, all right? We got through it. But I think that with a runaway dictator like Trudeau, it's time for one of our Canadian NHL superstars that play for a Canadian team, preferably, stand up and say something. Because the moment they do that, that's going to empower a lot of people that have questions that don't have a voice, all right? So, you know, and the disappointing thing is, like, I don't ever think Connor McDavid is going to do that because he's not a father, one. All right, Mitch Marner's not a dad right now. Who are the other teams that have that type of influence or players, Canadian players? I don't know. But I think it's extremely, and part of the reason is the league's so young now. But if you're a parent, all right, and you're sitting across from somebody and they want to put this vaccine into your 5-year-old's arm, I think that we need to have a real conversation about this with the hard data, all right? Because I know, because I do the research, the data that you're being told isn't the truth, all right? There's another whole side to it. And part of the thing with Elon is going to be, well, that data is now going to come to the surface and you're going to be able to see that in real time. You're not going to lose your job. You're not going to get kicked out of school, okay? We're going to see the truth around everything. But I think it's time one of these players stands up and says, look, let's just pump the brakes on this, okay? My son or my daughter, they're fine. They already had COVID, all right? We know the numbers. Let's just pump the brakes. I don't need your propaganda infiltrating into my life. We know that my son not being vaccinated or vaccinated has no bearing on anyone else in their universe, all right? From their grandparents to their teachers to the bus driver. Doesn't matter at this point. That's a fucking hard fact in the science, okay? So I think it's time. I don't know if it's going to happen. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. One more thing about this whole New York thing. So this guy, David Bonola, I don't know if you've read the story, but there's a woman in Queens, Ursalia Gall. She's a mom in Queens. She's married. She has a couple of kids. Her handyman kills her last week, stabs her like 60 times, puts her into her son's hockey bag, takes her out of the house, walks towards his apartment or home, and leaves her on the side of the street in Queens. Okay? It's a terrible story. But somehow, the body gets discovered, the cops show up, and for a moment of time, the 13-year-old boy gets put into handcuffs and taken to the fucking police station for 2 hours of questioning. All right? So think of the incompetence on the NYPD's part. Where was the kid going to go? Do you think the kid's a flight risk? He's going to get on the phone and call FlexJet and order a fucking jet to Cancun, Panama? He's 13 years old. You put the kid in fucking handcuffs and you essentially quasi-arrest him for the murder of his own mother when some crazed fucking lunatic handyman is the guy that did it. What do you think that that's going to do to a 13-year-old kid? Who was the fucking cop that authorized that decision? Who was the cop that said it's a good idea to put a 13-year-old in handcuffs whose mother was just stabbed 60 times because she was found in his hockey bag? Like, we pay these people to be professionals. And I try and take these cops back as much as I can. But they're fucking dumb. And a lot of them are really dumb. And they don't know what they're doing. And I am the first to say we need more. We need more smart ones. We need to pay them more. But the guy that authorized that should lose his job, because that's not something a 13-year-old could shake off. Being put in handcuffs in the back of a police cruiser for the first time, and it's not because you got caught underage drinking with fake IDs, because the police think that you murdered your mother, stabbed her 60 times, and put her in your Bauer hockey bag. So, I don't know. The good news is we can snap out of this instantly and talk about hockey. You want to talk about the Masterson Award.
This was news to me. I guess not to everybody, but Masterton, the award that they give out every year, each team nominates a player. And, I read an opinion piece today that was a hot take. And, the idea that we're giving an award away for somebody basically based on a sob story.
Yeah. Well, that was the writer's take.
Yeah, that was the writer's take. It's an opinion piece, so it's not a beat writer.
But is Pension Plan Puppets like a website that
the user? I think
bought?
I think the user. That's the user's website.
But it's affiliated with SB Nation.
They allow for that person to post on SB Nation.
Or SB Nation bought Pension Plan Puppets. Maybe Pension Plan Puppets has been around for a while.
It doesn't appear that it gets a lot of traction. I just was searching around, kind of trying to learn a little bit about the award. Blake Lizotte was the Kings nomination, and I just was curious sort of what that meant.
Yeah.
And there's no question that Blake Lizotte has had a great season and that he's a great player, has overcome quite a bit, just being undersized and sort of what they thought his trajectory was. So it's a great story. But
right, but then I asked you, I was like, okay, so, well, what else did Blake Lizotte do?
Yeah, I mean, they say it's like the thing that's...
So he's undersized? So because Blake Lizotte is a smaller kid that wasn't a high draft pick, but he works his butt off.
It says, who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. Those are the qualifications for the award or for a nominee.
Okay. And Blake Lizotte's qualifications per the LA Kings was that he's a hardworking guy who's beat the odds because he's small and he wasn't drafted.
Right, and he is a great sportsman, and he's a great member of the team. So the dedication to the game.
So that's why I never got nominated for the Masterton,
yeah.
Was because I'm not one of those two things you said at the end, a great teammate or no.
It was sportsmanship.
Sportsmanship. Okay.
But
all
your
right.
dedication to hockey could not ever be challenged.
Well, so, and this is a new thing. Michael's hot take. I like that. We'll put a hot take alert on. Can you figure out how to do that?
I'll try.
If we don't have it on there, it's because Michael didn't know how to do it. He's a professional editor by day. Hot take. All right. So Kevin Hayes is nominated for the Philadelphia Flyers.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, obviously, I think Kevin Hayes does a lot for the community.
Big time.
And I feel like it's going to kind of get overshadowed because maybe people are now saying, well, Kevin Hayes got nominated because his brother passed away. I mean, we all have heartache and tragedy. Even NHL players have normal lives and family, right? I agree that the award seems a little bit weird. Like, and it's like you got to be part of the club to win the award, but the guidelines aren't that clear. How do you win it? Does this really need to be part of the major NHL awards, or could it be could we kick it off to become like a Geico digital award, right? Where they announce it at the last game of the season and you don't get the trophy. There's a fucking trophy.
Yeah, there's a trophy.
And a lot of times the guy that wins the Selkie wins the Masterson, whatever the fuck it's called. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the take that this writer had was the Masterson perhaps inevitably has become the award won by the player with the best sob story. And we see that listening and watching on ESPN. They're, constantly trying to like tear at the heartstrings a little bit. And, I just think that the take that this writer had, and, I want to say the name just so it's Katya. The reason that the take that Katya had was basically, could we not better purpose this award to maybe the player that's brought the most to hockey, or someone who's sort of brought the best attention to hockey versus something that's sort of.
I think that they should give it to the best black player of the season.
Hey, I mean,
I'm not saying this as a joke.
Yeah.
I swear, like, we want to build diversity in the game. Let's create an award for the best, whatever black player had the best season, or sorry, minority player, not black player. That's a crazy thing to say. The award for the minority player who had the best season. Because I mean, I'm saying this seriously. How do you diversify the game and bring attention to the game? Let's reward guys that come from a background much different than the majority of us, right?
Totally.
Caucasian, Eastern European, Canadian. I think that would be interesting. I don't know. I'm putting a hot take on a hot take.
Yeah, I mean, and you're talking about perseverance, and I think that there probably has been a lot of perseverance for players that are minority, and so that's not a bad take at all.
All right.
I think just repurposing the award, we don't have to disappear the award.
Yeah, repurposing. I like that.
Yeah.
A little repackage, a little rebrand.
Yeah.
Let's bring it up to the modern times.
Because voting on 32 sob stories is not.
Yeah, let's.
Okay, we're moving on.
How many one-timer goals does Pastrnak have this year?
Let's see.
No, I know.
Oh.
Guess.
30?
20.
Really?
Yeah. We streamed the
game on Saturday?
Yeah, who was it? Boston and who?
The Rangers.
Oh, Boston and Rangers. Good game. Boston played well.
Great game.
Boston's backup goalie,
Allmark,
who there's a case to say that he's the starting goalie.
I mean, I guess so.
We watched the game. I don't know who the fuck was calling that game. Oh, it was
Ray Ferraro or Callahan?
All they kept talking about was how this kid should be the starting goalie in the season.
Yeah.
And he played a great game, and they both have had great seasons. But who's the other guy?
Jeremy Swayman, who's the future for that franchise.
So Swayman's the starter, right?
Should be, yes.
All right. So now they got a good backup. These guys have both played side by side. They pushed each other. Obviously, that's clear.
They've become great teammates. They celebrate with each other after a game. It's really.
You told me that they do some sort of.
It's a big hug. It's pretty
great.
Cool.
I love it.
I mean, Allmark's been in the league a while. He's 28 years old, and not that that's old or anything, but I'd say that we know who Linus Allmark is. Jeremy Swayman could be the next, Tuukka Rask for the Boston Bruins.
Right. Did you see the Kuznetsov shootout goal?
I did.
I mean, it's the most fucking ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So first of all, and I've never thought, now they do need to have a time limit.
Yep.
You can't, there's got to be a certain fucking amount of time.
Yep.
That you how do I even say this? He went too slow. Kuznetsov goes in on a shootout goal. He's going at a snail's pace. Now, outside of it being absolutely ridiculous, and then he twirled his stick 3 times, like he was in one of these dumb all-star games, all right? I would normally say it's an advantage for the goalie. The goalie's like, look at this fucking idiot. But he went so slow that I think it was jarring for whoever the goalie was, who had never probably seen somebody do something so stupid. And by the way, don't call me a hypocrite, because I had a rule invented off of me reinterpreting a rule that didn't exist. So Kuznetsov, there's no rule. I'm pissed off about it. I think the goalie was fucking weirded out by it. He did something I'd never seen before, and then he scored. I think today now, though, in the summer, they have to reassess that and change that rule, because it's fucking wild. It was so stupid. But he scored. So I am a hypocrite. All right. Draisaitl got his 55th goal. I want you to do yourself a favor. If you're a student of the game, go back and watch his 55th goal. It was a push one-timer knee down. So Draisaitl does this thing where he gets these pucks, one-timer pass to his forehand. You see his hands go very close together. So they almost go to the top of the stick. As the puck comes to him, now some guys have done this in the past where what they do is they almost scoop the puck. So they scoop the puck as it's coming to them, and then they snap it. What Draisaitl does is, and part of it is so that the goalie, he's actually he's hiding the shot even more. It's a strategic decision. The puck comes to his stick. As it comes to his stick, he immediately goes knee down, uses all that power and force, and he pushes it. He doesn't break his wrist. There's no snap. It's not a snapshot. It's this push one-timer, fluid crispiness, and he fucking scores on it a lot, and it's an incredible shot. I want you to go back and watch this goal. I also want you to watch Roslovic's goal. It was the 4th goal in the game. All right. Voracek made a pass to him. So that was Columbus versus, I don't even know, because Voracek's on his team. Voracek makes a pass to Roslovic on a 2-on-1. It's the prototypical perfect 2-on-1 pass. You make it early and you make it between the defender's stick and his skate. That is the pass on a 2-on-1. You never try and, you wait too long and you got to try and pass through a guy's body as he's turned, pivot to you, or he went down. You make that pass early, because if the guy on the other side is smart, he's cutting off that angle as much as possible. So when he gets that pass, he's got a straight line to the net. All right. 2 great goals last week. Playoffs. Okay. We don't really know what's going on. I want to talk about Leafs and Tampa because we know that they're going to play each other.
Yep.
All right. So the Leafs and the Lightning are going to play each other in the first round of the playoffs. We don't know who's going to get home ice advantage. What has happened in the last 5 games to the Tampa Bay Lightning, I had sleepless nights about, okay? For the last month, I've been saying to myself, we've had many conversations, maybe they just ran out of gas. Maybe these guys have hit a wall, all right? What I know now today, clarity, hindsight, Monday morning quarterback, these guys had a lull in the season. It's a long fucking season, okay? From game, what is it? I don't know, 65 to 75, they fell apart. Maybe 60 to 75. They took 15 games off because they were tired and they've won 2 Stanley Cups and they were just trying to get to the playoffs, all right? What has happened in the last 5 games, it's fucking night and day. Also, the trade deadline and the lines, all right? Trying to figure out what was going to happen. Where's Hagel going? Where's Paul going? Well, this team right now is on fire, okay? Kuch has 15 points in the last 5 games. Stamkos became the leading point scorer in the franchise history. Stamkos in the last, he's got 15 points in the last 6 games. These guys are on fire. Versus the Panthers, who had won 13 in a row. They shit-kicked them 8-4. Sergachev gets into a great fight with Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett's tough. He fucked up Sergey. Sergey stood in there, and I felt there was something happening there. It's like I was talking to somebody earlier. These guys know they're that good, all right? They realized enough with the bullshit. Flick the switch. Flick the switch. Let's go. We need 5 to 7 unbelievable games, tune-up games to get us ready for the playoffs. If you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan and you've been living in a delusional world all year, just like all Leaf fans, thinking, going to bed at night going, fuck, we're winning a Stanley Cup. We got the best team in the league. How can you stop Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and Nylander and fucking Bunting and whoever else, these guys, these superstar regular season players? Well, let me tell you something. You are going to get your absolute shit handed to you for lunch, dinner, dessert by the Tampa Bay Lightning. These guys are coming into this series on fucking fire. Something has happened now. They're all playing Cirelli. Paul scored a goal the other night. We were watching that game. A shorthanded goal. This guy is just like, he's just turned into a player. He now realizes, oh no, I can compete at the highest level against the big boys. All right.
18 games with the Lightning this year, 5 goals, 8 assists, 17 penalty minutes, and +6.
Yeah, I mean, and the first 4 games, everyone was just trying to figure out where they fit in, right? Like, you know, they didn't know where was Hagel going to go. This team, top to bottom right now, is the best team in the NHL, all right? You can talk about Colorado, who, by the way, Colorado's not playing well, and they're fucking falling off a cliff, okay? Calgary, I mean, great team, okay? I don't know what's going to happen. Who's going to come out of the West? I don't know. I'm talking about the Leafs versus Tampa Bay. It'll be over in 6 games. You've got Jack Campbell versus Andrei Vasilevsky. Let me ask you a question, okay? Do you all of a sudden in your heart think that Jack Campbell's going to outplay Andrei Vasilevsky in a 7-game series? Answer that. Tell me. Because if you do, I want you to just look me dead in the eye and say yes. Because that would be a fucking miracle. That would be a miracle from the hockey gods, from everywhere, all right? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, okay? Will you take Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews and Bunting over Kucherov, Paul, and Point? Would you take that? Which first line would you have?
I'd take Lightning all day.
I mean, listen, they put up great numbers in the regular season. All right, Austin's on fire. He scores a lot of goals. Mitch, same thing. But if you could have either 3 players for this year's playoff run, who would you take? I mean, I know what my answer is. I don't know. You Leaf fans out there, you guys drink the Kool-Aid and you drink it and it's blue. It's that blue Kool-Aid on a fucking warm summer day. There's nothing better. If it's nice and cold, I get it. We'll make popsicles. We'll do the whole thing. But they don't have a fucking chance in beating them. The last 3 games, Tampa beat the Leafs, Predators, and Panthers by a combined score of 22-7. Stamkos has 4 3-point games in a row. All right? Yeah. Oh, and by the way, here's the Leafs D. Can you pull up Tampa's defense?
Sure.
So the Leafs are going to go in with Riley Brody, Muzzin, Hall. How do you say his name?
Hall.
Mm-hmm. Giordano and Liljegren. Okay? Versus, who we go? We're going Cal Foote.
Yeah, Cal Foote came in, was the 7th D, you said, the other day.
So maybe they dress 7D. They go Cal Foote, Bogosian.
So it goes Hedman, Cernak, McDonough, Foote, Sergachev, Ruda.
Yeah.
And, you know, if Bogosian is the 7th there, that's at least how it's got listed on Daily Faceoff today.
Now, by the way, all of those defensemen that just got listed off have won Stanley Cups. Some of them, most of them, have won back-to-back Stanley Cups. And now you've got Jack Campbell, you've got Riley, Brody, Muzzin, Hall, Giordano, Liljegren versus our defense. Now what do you think? What do you think? Now, and here's one of the last things. People always forget about the coaching, right? They always talk about the players on the ice, but this is a huge test for Sheldon Keefe. Can Sheldon Keefe outcoach John Cooper? I mean, because Mark Crawford couldn't outcoach Scotty Bowman, all right? Mark Crawford couldn't outcoach Scotty Bowman. Scotty Bowman outcoached Mark Crawford. 2 very similar teams, powerhouses, that it ultimately came down to coaching. They got outcoached, all right? Scotty put the right guys on the ice at the right time in the right situations. I don't think Sheldon Keefe can outcoach John Cooper. Maybe this is the year Sheldon Keefe says, you know what? I'm going to step up. And because at some point it's like, you got all these great players who do a lot in the regular season, but where are you when it matters? And that's what we fucking pay you for. So This is going to be a great fucking 14 days for me. I think for us. I think it goes 6 or 7. Maybe it goes 7, but there's no chance in hell that the Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Tampa Bay Lightning.
So that answers the athletic question that Pierre LeBrun put out, which was which Canadian team has the best shot at winning the Stanley Cup?
And he said Toronto?
No, I think it was like sort of a poll, and there was a lot of NHL execs that kind of anonymously put what they thought, and it's pretty much Calgary is the consensus.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And now the Rangers, just a little bit on the Rangers. So we watched the Rangers game. Rangers possibly are going to play Pittsburgh or Washington. So Washington, I think, I don't know what the news is on Ovechkin, but I'm almost positive he separated or dislocated his shoulder. Some asshole on Instagram was like, I said he separated it. Some guy sent me a DM's like, I think he dislocated it. What the fuck the difference is between a separated shoulder and a dislocated shoulder? Is there a difference? Maybe there is medically. But somebody took the time to send me that message, okay?
It says that he's listed day to day and that he did pose for the team picture today. So Ovechkin.
Oh, great.
So
that's good news.
It's good news, but I mean he's a warrior. He's a warrior. Does he put the harness on or whatever?
You can't play with a separated shoulder. You cannot. There's no way you're playing.
Yeah.
Dislocated. I don't know. Maybe that means it popped out and it pops back in, and I don't know. But the Rangers to win the Stanley Cup. Right now, today, I don't think the Rangers can beat Tampa Bay. 2 weeks ago, I thought that was an easy win for them. I don't think that they can. Now, different story. Totally different story than Toronto Maple Leafs. You've got fucking Shesterkin versus Vasilevsky. The two best goalies in the NHL, arguably. Totally. All right? Mm-hmm. The young buck meets the wise old mule at the top of the hill. That's a different series. The problem is, when you look at New York's defense, and I keep going to this pairing of who are the Schneider and Nemeth, I don't like it. Can you pull up New York's defense?
Yep.
Now, obviously, up front, they're stacked, right? They got that big line. That big line produces. If Tampa's big line produces, I mean, who... Can New York's big line produce like Tampa's big line produces when Tampa's big line is producing? I'm not sure. They've never done it in the playoffs, all right? And I don't even know if they've done it to the extent that these guys have done it in the regular season, i.e. the last fucking 5 games. You go down into the third, fourth lines, the depth. Rangers' fourth line, give that to me also.
Greg McKegg, Kevin Rooney, Ryan Reeves.
Yeah.
And that's how it stands right now with all the injuries, that could maybe adjust right now. They're notable injuries. They have Kopp, Mott, Kakko, Sheedle, Sammy Blaze on IR. But all of those guys, are kind of expected to come back for the playoffs. So, I think you mentioned it on Saturday when we were watching the game that Ryan Reeves might not get but a game or two if he gets one at all.
Well, Reeves will get in once they lose a game in a series. They'll put Reeves in to, get some physicality, and they'll try and change the momentum with Reeves. It's like a coin toss. I mean, Ryan Reeves is not going to go into a playoff game, an NHL playoff game, and change the momentum enough to be considered the deciding factor in that win. All right, he just doesn't play well enough and skate well enough to do anything in the playoffs. And the physicality is not that much of an issue. Now, the Rangers with Fox and Trouba, they got a fucking great team. All right, don't get me wrong. Okay, Kopp, Hedel comes back. Kakko comes back, then some of those guys drop down from the third to the fourth.
Like Barclay Goudreau, Julien Gauthier.
So now you got a Goudreau fourth line.
Yeah.
Whoever's Gauthier stinks. I don't like his game very much. He's just kind of runs around. He's an energy guy, but I don't think that they match up. I think that the only way that the Rangers beat the Lightning is if the Lightning's top guys don't play like top guys. If it's top guys versus top guys and everybody's producing, then Tampa comes out of the East again. And then I don't know what happens. But New York wants to play Pittsburgh because I guess Jari's got a broken foot and he's going to be out for a while. If it's a broken foot, you know, you can't freeze a broken foot.
Yeah.
Like if it's a fucking broken foot, if it's a bone in the foot, but if you broke your foot's fucking broken and you're probably done. So I don't know. Can the Pittsburgh Penguins win without Jari? I don't watch them enough.
Casey DeSmith is a serviceable backup, but he's definitely a backup.
Yeah. It's the most exciting time of the year. All right.
Totally.
Get your Patreon subscriptions. You want a Mother's Day cameo? I'm your guy. Me and Michael are going into the playoffs excited. I believe the next episode will the playoffs have started? No, because there's a game Monday night.
We have a game. I think the regular season ends.
There's one last game next Monday.
Got it.
Which is a bullshit makeup game.
Got it.
Anyways, episode 5, no gruffs given. We'll see you next week.